I already like this. That looks good already. Oh, dude, that is actually really nice with the resin pieces there. All right, let's take a look at this. Oh God, this is heavy. The Fragment TKL by Bunch of Numbers. I've been looking forward to this for a while. First of all, I love Bunch of Numbers carrying case. I've always been a fan. You have literally a bunch of numbers on this. Beautiful, love it. Now, he did send over the keyboard. This is sponsored because he did send this over. Will not change how I feel or how I criticize things. You guys are all fully aware of that. I have heavily criticized a lot of stuff, but this is the Fragment TKL. He did send a pre-assembled unit or a pre-assembled PCB as well as a new one for us to build. I will take a look at the pre-assembled one after. I think he pre-assembled it with cherry switches, so today I will not be using cherry switches. Although I can't remember if I don't know if it's for sure he sent that here, but we'll see. The Fragment's gonna be an interesting one because it has kind of this little accent piece on the top, which you guys will see here in a moment. It is quite beautiful, and I would say A Bunch of Numbers has this knack for making something unique, even with the last board that he did, which I thought was beautiful. They have a bunch of different colors for this with some beautiful wooden accents, and there's even one that's kind of a special edition carbon forged one, which, check this out. That's the carbon one. But yeah, it has some resin features to it, which we'll take a look at. It's a plateless O-ring, but here are the colors, just so we can all see. There is Frost, Slate, Moss, Dune, and Drift. And carbon. There's also a configurator, which if you guys want to, I haven't actually booted up the configurator yet, but you guys can configure things. Very, very cool. So actually, I don't even know how much the carbon one is. Is carbon on the website yet? Okay, there's lots of ways you can build this up, by the way, but it does look like it starts at 330, and then depending on what you want. But beautiful looking keyboard. I'm excited. It's not every day we get to do something with lots of wooden accents, which I think is always fun. Also, a little dangerous in some cases because wood does change over time, so we can get a good look at this today, and I can kind of usually tell if something's been done well, depending on how they end up using the wooden accents. There is brass too, so if you don't want wood, you can just do brass. Also different back plates, you can do different cutouts, which is very fun, which I don't know if I'd do anything for this, but very cool. And then the cool thing is the resin pieces on top, which I really like. Which are these things? I don't know if it'll allow us to click here, but you can get some different resin pieces and then, you know, different plates, etc., etc. Cool though. Very, very cool. And like I was showing you guys, it is a plateless O-ring, so very cool, as well as a top mount. And if this is anything like the Quantum, I believe this is probably going to use that same kind of like system on the edges where you kind of can do a plateless PC, well, it says plateless PCB, plateless O-ring. It's actually kind of a neat system, which I think also allows you to use whatever stabilizers you want, which is also very, very awesome. Internal screws, then we have some different PCB layouts, so it does look like this is a fixed bottom row. And there we go. Let's take a look at what we got here. The O-ring system has changed a lot since the Quantum. Hi, Bunch of Numbers. Well, that's good to know too. Ooh, these resin pieces look beautiful already. Oh man, I can't wait to put this on. So we got some accessories here as well as a cleaning cloth. Let's take a look. Always a pleasure doing one of Bunch of Numbers keyboards here. I already like this. That looks good already. Oh, dude, that is actually really nice with the resin pieces there. And obviously you can do whatever you want with this piece. You can just take it out if you don't like it. I do like the use of this accent piece here. I think this is a really fun use of the accent. Oh, is this a coated piece of wood? Because I do see some shine on this, which is actually quite lovely. This is really pretty, man. The wood is glossy, but not too glossy. Yeah, it's not like overly glossy too. Like you can really appreciate the wood. Actually, let's see. How would it look like from the side view? Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be crazy glossy, even with the light being like literally over here. But you can see the reflection of like my lamp It's kind of classy looking. Clear varnish that is lightly hand polished, all done in the UK to aid with tariffs. Very awesome. So what I really like about this already, first of all, we have bubble feet, which is, please, give me more keyboards with just standard feet like this. The wood isn't absolutely picture perfect around some of the screws, but I think that kind of adds to like the whole, this is a custom piece kind of thing. And I'll show you guys what I mean just so you guys can see. It's not picture perfect. I'm assuming it will probably be a little bit better for the finalized ones, but even with this, like I think that's acceptable. Ooh, I really like this too. I don't know if it's easy to tell, but see how this kind of protrudes outwards? And then we have a brass piece sitting over there too. Everything has these like really nice chamfers to it. That is nice looking for the back piece. This would go hard with wood burning engraving. Oh, true. That would be really cool for this lugs. And then this is the part I really appreciate is we still get to see some of this wood over here. And then this is what's really fun. I wonder if a bunch of numbers will eventually do some like resin / wood back pieces for this board. This is beautiful. Here is the side profile, very basic box on wedge. Very, very basic. So I wouldn't say this side profile is anything to like, write home about. But the back, gorgeous. Look at this whole silhouette of this back over here. Like this is crazy. So you got 1, 2, 3 materials. And then again, you have the front, which gives you a little bit of that wood accent too. So you can actually look at the wood. You can visually see the wood while you're actually using the keyboard, which is awesome. I really appreciate that. Internally, it looks like we have 1, 2, 3 technically weights, which is fun. And then we have some internal screws, which are angled, which I prefer the angled ones a lot more than just the ones that go straight down. And then we have our USB-C daughter board connection right here on the bottom as well. Now, the price of this particular unit, I think was still around, was it still around $330? Let me double check. So this particular unit would be $380. And if you opted to go for none of the resin pieces, if you didn't want a badge, or if you just wanted like an oak badge, and you didn't want the F13 badge, this would be $340. Very fair. Extremely fair in today's economy. Extremely, extremely fair. All right, let's see what else we got in the bag here. I want to say thank you to the designers of these boards. Truly, from the bottom of my heart, this is what makes, for me anyways, the keyboard hobby so exciting when it comes to just the products themselves. It is so refreshing seeing designs like this where they, I'm not going to say they push the boundaries, but in a way they kind of do, and they're not afraid to explore with something new and perhaps land, flat on their face if something goes wrong. But I think this is what makes the hobby special. Like these kind of keyboards really make me excited to build things, and I feel very blessed, and like I think all of us in the hobby should really appreciate some of these designers. Very cool. So here is the pre-assembled one. This one here will be the plateless. So perhaps we'll just leave this in plateless configuration, and we'll do the other one with a plate. So what plates do we have here? Carbon fiber, and then we have an aluminum. Now I'm going to say perhaps today is more of an aluminum day. I was thinking about using milky yellows or granites with this, but we can also use a long pull switch since we have or we could even do a tactile build if you guys want. Because again, we already have a set of NIXIES pre-prepared. So we could do something completely different. Are you guys down for tactiles? Hell yeah. I don't have Type Rs. I'm all out of those. But I do have some interesting ones. So this is WINGTREE brown switches. So the YUYING tactile switches. Yeah, these have a 3.7 travel, bottom out anyways. And they're 42 grams. So we could do these. People are saying they're nice. Let's do them, dude. Very, very plain. I like the color. Very like, almost kind of like the Glacier. Bit blue. We have some exposed traces. Well, some traces here. Very, very simplistic. Lots of options for solder. For a hot swap, looks like we still have lots of options here. We have split backspace, split left, or split right. No ISO here, but we do have, we do have a split left here with no ISO, which I guess that's cool to have anyways, but If you do want ISO, you have to use the solder. But again, one fixed bottom row for everything here. But yeah, pretty good layout support on this. Can't complain. I do wish, for those who want it, there was a 6.25 layout. I know this does come in a win keyless variant, but it's always nice to have. You know, got to look out for my peeps who enjoy 6.25U. Now for plates, I kind of think the aluminum would pair really well with this. These are not MX Browns. These are the WINGTREE. WINGTREE brown switches. I would say a little bit of a lighter tactile, but still quite defined. One thing I will tell you guys right now that I would like to see is the F13 badge doesn't have a way to support it from the bottom. So it only has 2 screws in the top. So right away I can tell this shifts around, not that you guys can see, but this shifts around a little bit. And I would like to see maybe a way that this can be supported evenly so it doesn't move around. So that would be my only real criticism as of right now. This one here seems fine, so that one there is good, but this one here, because it's a bit of a longer piece, maybe it just needs to be screwed in a little bit more. But yeah, it does have some wiggle room. And again, I could just need to screw it in a little bit more there. Really cool concept though. So here's the top piece. Oh, you already put some gaskets on. So I guess these are some like little force brake alignment pins. We'll note to fix that. Amazing, bro. Appreciate that. So we have some little alignment foam here on the sides. This is cool to look at. That is actually really cool. Take a look at this. We can see the front piece of wood. And then above it, we have a piece of metal, which is going to be where everything sits and mounts. Really interesting how they did that. Or how a bunch of numbers did that. That is cool, actually. That is a cool way to do it. So much light reflection there. Very cool. And then it just passes through the wood and screws into the bottom piece. I like that a lot. And then we have our brass piece over here, and then we have places where our top mount stuff can sit, as well as the other plate tabs. Cool. All right, let's put a little gasket action here. So these are very soft pieces of Poron. 8-degree typing angle on this guy too, which is cool. What color is this? This is considered Dune. I guess we'll start with the O-ring build for this. Ooh, wait, which ones are which? Does it say in the dock? 78 O-ring fits quite tightly with the PCB. It fits, but can be tested out, but be tricky to take out. Which one's 78, which one's which? I'm guessing the black one's 70A and the white one is 50 and this is 30. We're gonna try 50. So this is fun to put on. I really like this concept, by the way. Actually, I think this new refinement you made by having the notches on the O-ring is so freaking smart. So in case you guys are wondering, this works in plateless as well because the O-ring has little notches to hook into the PCB. How cool is that? It is an amazing concept. So you still get the O-ring feel. And then it also becomes a little bit less daunting to put this thing on, and you can use whatever gaskets, or not gaskets, whatever stabilizers you want. And then it just sits like this. How cool is that? I know this seems like such a small idea, but I feel like this goes such a long way in just the evolution and like small tinkering of like how to make things better. Not for nothing too, I really hope this gets rolled out into other keyboards. Like, I think this is such a smart way to do this. And if anything comes from this particular board, like this board's already like super awesome. I hope this kind of becomes like an idea that makes an impact within the hobby. So we're kind of just laying them on top of that. So now let's put that back down. And then from the side, you can see it just kind of fits into the bottom of the board like that. So it's actually kind of like almost like a hybrid, which is interesting. And then it friction fits into the bottom now. It gets pushed into it. Oh, those gaskets are also going to be slightly denser than they are now. So do you mean like thicker? Because I was about to say, the one thing I might prefer is if these were a bit thicker. because that would be awesome if they were, to kind of give it more of a true friction fit, opposed to like a really long O-ring gasket. Damn, that is neat. You know, a beige keycaps would look more than fantastic on this. Wow, that's nice. Yeah, look, I love seeing the wooden accent from the front. Like, from my angle, you can see it. You just get a lot of character on the board without it being, like, overly complicated. Oh, I can already tell you I like the way this sounds. All right, shall we do a sound test? So these are the WINGTREE brown switches with an aluminum plate done in the O-ring configuration. Oh! I didn't even tune the stab yet. No, the stabs are not flawless. I can definitely, there's room to improve on my stabilizer here. But damn, that's nice. Let's just tune the stab. Just do spacebar. Just ever so slightly. When the switch returns is like rain patter. Yeah, I really like these switches. These are a tactile switch that you can definitely tell they're tactiles, but it's not like in your face. No, I did not lube these. They were already pre-lubricated. Yeah, see, like you can already, for me, I can tell the difference. Damn, I really like these switches. I love the way this feels and sounds. I also want to say I think it's partly the mounting system of this too that's really giving it like this defined clack. I'm so curious about using the NIXIES Plateless with this. Big fan of the way this sounds and feels. The only thing that, again, just to go over all the things that maybe I didn't like, there's really only one major thing. I'm not gonna press on it right now because I don't wanna like break this. I do think this accent piece, if you do end up buying it, should be supported better. Because as I showed you guys, it kind of wiggles a little bit. Other than that, super easy install. I like the thoughtfulness of all the gasketing too to kind of help the board align itself to, like the alignment on this feels really good for, you know, an O-ring board that's not really friction fitting against the side. So very happy with that as well. But let's open it up and let's switch to the plateless version now. All right, guys, here we go. Earphone. So this is NIXIES. We'll ignore the two milky yellows over here. NIXIES GMK Klassiker plateless build with the heaviest O-ring. Ooh. Damn. Dude, this feels really good too. Like, it's so, look how soft this is. I would say a typical kind of TKL crossbar section over here. I've never, like, TKLs with the backspace and modifiers along the side, I think they're always just okay. This sounds insane. I love this. I do think the modifiers, again, TKLs and modifiers and me have never been like best friends. I think they sound fine for what they are. I wouldn't say they're standout. The spacebar, insane. It feels really good. Sounds amazing too. The alphas on the plateless build are very, very unique. And I say unique not in terms of really sound, but it's almost kind of like look how bouncy this board is. Ooh. Okay, this is extremely nice to type on. Again, feeling wise. To try to put it into words, usually I think most builds that are O-ring kind of have this medium firmness, closer to firm, like it's very, very, you know, dense. This is just a pleasure to type on. Like, this is soft, it absorbs a lot of impact, and you still get that amazing sound profile of a plateless build mixed in with a little bit of that clack from an O-ring. It's like a good best of all worlds, not even both worlds, best of all worlds kind of build here. This might be one of my favorite sounding boards in a little while that we've done on stream. You know, man, I love the F1. I just for the sound profile and the fact that you can do this O-ring plateless in such a manner, I kind of like this more feeling and sound-wise. They're both amazing though. Like the F1 also has a distinct sound profile that I think sounds really good. I kind of like this more sound-wise than the F1s, but I think I want to build it plateless. I think the joy of this board might be the plateless O-ring. Looks-wise, I'm more of an F1 kind of guy. I do think the F1 in its like blocky design has definitely always been my thing. So yeah, I guess my only concern in the long run for this board is if the wood would start to warp. But if it seems to just be a thin layer, kind of like how Mode does it, in that case, it should be fine. Bye, everybody. Love ya.